once a week, we take some of the best, some of the fieriest, some of the hottest takes that we've seen that have been submitted. These are all real messages from real talkers just like you. It's the Flamethrower, presented by our friends at the DQs of Northwest Edmonton and Sherwood Park. That's right. You have Palisades, Namao, Newcastle, Westmount, Baseline Road. By the way, the other day had one of those Superman blizzards. Our Wyatt Rudy, our son, he was like, can you please take me to DQ first? He knows how to get me. Yeah. He knows I'm never going to say no to DQ because of how much we love them and how much we appreciate them. That Superman blizzard, it's like
crazy mix,
dude, it has sorry, I'm flamethrower in just a second, but cookie dough in it and sprinkles
birthday
and
cake,
unbelievable.
I don't know. It's wild.
Unbelievable.
It's wild.
I had to teach Wyatt about taxes, as a matter of fact. The wonderful Dairy Queen employee handed me the blizzard into my driver's window, and I had to teach Wyatt, you are now being taxed. 5% of your blizzard right off the top. All right, here we go. This is from Jake. Jake caught our interview with Dr. Mark Tyndall on the 12th of August. That was Puff or Pass, the truth about vaping. I'm showing it to you on my screen right now. Jake says, Jespo, Johnny, I'm listening to that Dr. Tyndall episode about vaping, and I am worked up. Is this guy for fucking real? Says Jake. How does this guy sleep at night, and how much money is he getting from Big Tobacco for promoting this shit? For real, though, how much? He says, okay, so I get his point that a cigarette smoker's better off vaping. I agree. However, says Jake, anybody with even a modicum of intelligence can see that the vast majority of users of vapes and Xonics, those dingers, those lip pillows, are not smokers. I can't believe you can say with a straight face that this shit is not marketed to kids. I've seen firsthand how addictive those little vapes you can buy at 7-Eleven are. First of all, the level of nicotine is insane. One pod has the same amount of nicotine as a pack of cigarettes, and the cute little stick that tastes like candy, damn, it's kind of a nice buzz, too. He says, give me a break with this nonsense and call this what it is, says Jake. Big Tobacco found a new way to get its money, and it's through vapes and Zins. And I gotta say, though, having given up nicotine entirely, says Jake, by the way, nicotine, the addictive substance in cigarettes, but good to know the doctor says it's harmless in a pouch or a pillow. Listening to his spiel made me seriously feel like saying, fuck it, and getting back on that nicotine train. I won't, because as a recovering alcoholic, I have no desire to be a slave to another addiction. Attaboy Jake. He says, anyway, I love you guys. I love the show. Keep it up. He says, I doubt I'm the only one who thinks this doctor has his head in the sand. I'm looking forward to hearing the other hot takes. That from Jake. Well, Jake, the good news is, wait, there's more. This one from Andrew, who says, Jespo, my wife and I were listening to your pod featuring the interview with Dr. Mark Tyndall on August 2nd, who became an accidental advocate for vaping. He sounds like a corporate prostitute advocating for it. We turned off your podcast completely disgusted. We were hoping for some helpful insight. I think there was some helpful insight, but I digress. Back to your email, Andrew.
Don't turn us off.
He said, don't turn us off. Stay on. Get angry. No, he says, here's a picture from a service wall that I recently did from one of our indoor room divider waterfall features. These are water wall features we designed, manufactured, and installed right here in Edmonton. He says that snot that's clinging to the intake screen of our submersible pump is vaping vapors. I mean, we'll take your word for it, Andrew, but he says they got in contact with the water in our water feature and got stuck in the system. Imagine what that's doing to the lungs of people who vape. I'm just going to note, to be responsible, this has not been fact-checked. I'll take Andrew at his word. He says, the only time I ever see snot like this in our features for annual servicing, he says the color, the consistency is when someone in the household has been vaping. You look very troubled right now.
I need someone else to weigh in.
I'm not saying you're a liar, Andrew. I'm not saying that at all. But I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to check the HVAC in our studio. Uh-oh. And how about this one from Bruce, who says, Jespo, I've got many questions about your interview with Dr. Mark Tyndall on vaping, and you are obviously correct. He says, I absolutely agree that you need to explore every possible angle and voice on stories, but the doctor's obvious apologia and his Lance Armstrong level context misdirection, right? He says, like Lance Armstrong, I never tested positive, or like this, it's a safer alternative, it's harm reduction. He says remained curiously unchallenged, and so too did the omission to disclose or identify the doctor's participation in VITA. Bruce is right. I mean, Dr. Tyndall has worked as a harm reduction advisor for the Vaping Industry Trade Association. He says, I hope that was an oversight and not a gateway to smoke-free advertising or promotion. He says the Line podcast with Jen Gerson and Matt Gurney certainly went down that road under a libertarian umbrella, but that doesn't make it any less distasteful. Jen, Matt, not trying to pick a fight with you. He says maybe you could have Ronna Ambrose on, former health minister, and ask how she failed as health minister to apply regulations to vapes while acting in that role, and then accepted board position with Jewel. Is that how you pronounce it? Jewel? J-U-U-L?
The singer?
The big, yeah.
No. Yeah, it is.
What was Jewel's
J-U-L.
song again? What was that song? Didn't she marry a bull rider? Anyway, that's not who Bruce is talking. Sorry, Bruce. It's not that we don't take your email seriously. We do. He says, just as a frequent listener, I needed to offer feedback. It's excellent feedback, Bruce. We appreciate you, and thank you. How about this one from Neil Koratash? Neil says, gentlemen, and Johnny, you're getting looped into this. It's not your fault. You did nothing wrong. This is all on me.
Okay.
Guilt by association. Neil says, gentlemen, I let it slide the first time, but twice merits an email. Catching up on my real talk since getting back from holidays. Thank you, Neil. We appreciate you. He says, Jespo, you've now said a couple of times, and he's right. Shit. He's right. That longtime political organizer and now candidate Troy Wason is running for council in St. Albert. He says that is incorrect. He says Troy's running in Medicine Hat. Says Neil, and it's true. I looked it up. I was like, fuck. That said, says Neil, if you're looking to plug a St. Albert City Council candidate who's actually running, you're always welcome to drop my name. Ladies and gentlemen, I rarely, if ever, do this. Having known him for 15 years, I hereby endorse Neil Koratash as a candidate for council in the city of St. Albert. I hope I've made amends, Neil, and thank you for your email. This from Tarra. Tarra was watching our Disability Pride Roundtable. This was a really, really good conversation. You can find it. That was our July 25th episode featuring Brad Bartko, Bean Gill, and Carrie Anton. I loved the conversation about inclusion and accessibility. And if you love seeing me get called to the carpet, you'll love this one because Bean lectured me in a fun way and in a loving way to stop opening doors for people with disabilities. It was an amazing conversation, and it prompted Tarra to write in, and Tarra says, if you ever do another disability talk, which we will, she says it would be wonderful to see something on invisible disabilities and the issues people may face if we don't look disabled, for example, or perhaps if we marry somebody who's not disabled and we get kicked off AISH, or AISH takes dollar for dollar of the Canada disability benefit, which is true. Alberta's the only province clawing that back. It's bullshit. Or maybe ties the partner's income to how much one should receive if they're on AISH. She says, I know all of this all too well, and I would love to talk about it. Tara, we appreciate you putting it on our radar. And finally, how about this one? This was a fiery episode with Sharan Kaur. This is on August 5th. We talked to her about what's going on in Gaza. We talked to her about Quebec's Bill 21. We talked to her about the Polyev by-election and more. Always appreciate Sharon's take on this. But Kinnerit, who I've known since high school, by the way, and who watches the show from Israel, she was actually on the show right after the October 7th attacks. I'm not sure if you remember. It was a really powerful interview. She wrote in and she says, Jespo, like, you have some seriously hateful and fucked up people on your feed. She says, I expect that on any podcast, but have I ever once sent you something that indicates that I want a genocide of Palestinians? Have I ever once acted or given you the feeling that I think I am better because I'm Jewish? And Kinnerit, the answer is no. But she says, Ryan, this is my real life, and my real friends are dying. These people do not know what the fuck they're talking about. You bring them on the show. Hamas doesn't care about Gazans. They're using them to create these horrible, horrible scenarios that lead to severe anti-Semitism around the world. And your report with Sharan Kaur just contributes to that. And that's why I'm upset. She says the IDF isn't perfect. She says, I know that some soldiers sodomized a terrorist after they learned what he had done to women at the Nova Festival. They should not have done that. Rape by Hamas is celebrated, and I'm sorry to say, but women's rights in Gaza are deplorable. All women suffer there, and all Palestinians suffer under Hamas, yet some of them care more about killing us than having a good life, and I know this, she says in all caps. She says Westerners can't swallow the mentality because it's so far from what they know and put their values in when it comes to the Middle East, where aside from a few places, the value system is very different. She says, I'm not saying there's not hunger in Gaza. And she says, and I am saying, though, that some of the photos you guys used as propaganda is evil. She says you would think things were bad enough that they wouldn't have to be making fake footage. I will say we get our images from Getty Images and we stand by them. She says, but I have seen so much through this war. She says it's the constant lying, not just now, but what's always making some Israelis feel indifferent at times. People don't know what to believe anymore. She says, I implore you to encourage real talkers to read the book Ghosts of a Holy War, the lies that perpetrated the 1929 Hebron massacre. She says it's very well written. That from Kinnerit, who watches Real Talk from Israel and whose perspective we certainly appreciate. The Flamethrower is presented by the DQs of Northwest Edmonton and Sherwood Park, Palisades, Namao, Newcastle, Westmount, Baseline Road. They are all about real talk, and it shows. The next time you go in there to grab a Flamethrower signature stack burger, you let them know that Real Talk sent you. My friends, have a safe and wonderful weekend. We will be back at it live from the historic Mercer Warehouse a couple of days from now. One love.